name is Colin, and I just crossed over into my 40s. The demands of my life is what it is. I gotta work, I have to support, shape, and mold my children. I have husband obligations too. Sound familiar? After all that, I still desire to build something of my own. To build something takes time, our greatest asset. I want to reclaim the creative flame I once had and reach higher in business. To do this starts from within. If I'm better to myself, I can be better to others, because I believe the ultimate form of medicine is personal investment. If you guys hear noise, it's because that I live in a busy house. There's just no getting around that. I gotta roll with the punches and get to it. You feel me? If you know, you know. So with that being said, man, this is not a comeback story. It's about what actually survived when everything was heavy. If you're trying to hold on to any creativity while carrying work, kids, school, responsibility, this is the truth on how I did it. With no embellishment here, 2023 was not momentum at all. It was an overload. I was finishing a degree after 4.5 years. I was working full time. I had 4 kids in sports. I had just completed a fire department program, and I was operating on fragmented sleep for months. Some would say, which was me, that was the most depressing year in my life. That year wasn't about becoming a better creator. It was about holding on to one piece of myself while everything else required more of me. It was simple, bare bones, minimalistic, simplistic, and most importantly, executable. It wasn't a creative comeback. It was identity preservation. The weekly recap didn't wake up anything within me creatively. That year didn't have space for that whatsoever. I wasn't sharpening composition. The phone didn't allow for that. I wasn't building stories. My schedule didn't allow for that. I wasn't rediscovering sound design. I didn't have the capacity for it. And I definitely wasn't finding my filmmaking instincts again. Like, I'm thinking deep on that. Like the stuff that I was doing, like small commercialist stuff, what I end up doing just to keep the fire lit with vlogging with my family, like it didn't call for none of that. What did happen was much simpler, and I feel like it's overlooked. Repeating the same structure each week, eventually reducing friction. The process got familiar. The habit became easier to execute, not because I was more creative, but because repetition builds muscle memory. And if you know anything about being in the gym, you know this makes perfect sense. I just filmed what was in front of me. I kept the formula small, and I preserved the chain without adding weight to it. This wasn't about creative progress. It was continuity. There wasn't a moment in 2023 where I felt the creative fire again. You know, I didn't feel it back. I didn't see my artistic identity come through the footage. I didn't feel connected to my old sensibilities, and I definitely didn't experience emotional clarity either. The only moment that stood out in that era was week 52. To make sure I finished. I look back and I realized that I documented a full year of my kid's life. I realized that I unintentionally built a digital archive. Proof of consistency happened during the worst season of my life. A record that I stayed connected to the creative world, even when I had nothing left to give it. That significance wasn't in the weekly recaps. That fact came in the archives. 52 videos created. 2023 didn't rebuild me. It didn't restore anything. It didn't bring direction back into my creative life. What survived that year was the habit, not the person. And that habit eventually gave me the foundation to build off of. And then 2025, exploring storytelling, emotion, design, structure, and 2026 evolving again with better tools, better clarity, and to be honest, a desire to contribute something meaningful. Hear me when I say this though, none of that existed without the year where I kept the smallest creative thread alive. And this is the truth of that chapter. It was the year I refused to disappear. And that refusal, not the videos, is the reason why I can build what I'm building now. Thank you guys for watching. If you stayed to the end, please hit the subscribe button, the notification bell so you can be notified when more of these videos come out, which I plan to throw these out weekly. And you know what? Since I'm kind of new to this still, take a look at whatever's queued up next. I will see you guys next week.